the man who knew every accident. My name is Evan, and this happened during one of the coldest winters Colorado had seen in years. At the time, I was 23 years old and working the overnight shift at a lonely gas station off Highway 36. The station sat miles away from the nearest town, surrounded by empty fields, frozen woods, and long stretches of dark highway. Most nights were painfully boring. Truckers stopped for coffee. Travelers filled their tanks. Teenagers bought snacks after parties. Nothing unusual ever happened, until the man in the black pickup arrived. The first time I saw him was a Tuesday around 2:30 in the morning. A black pickup truck rolled into the parking lot and parked beneath the only broken light on the property. The engine stayed running. 5 minutes passed, then 10. The truck never moved. I watched from behind the counter through the security cameras. Finally, the driver's door opened. A tall man stepped out. Even from a distance, something felt wrong. He wore an old gray coat despite the snowstorm outside. His dark hair hung over his face. And strangely, he wasn't wearing shoes, only dirty white socks. The man slowly walked inside. The automatic doors slid open. Cold air rushed through the store. Instead of browsing shelves or heading toward the coolers, he simply stopped near the coffee machines and stared directly at me. Not blinking, not moving, just staring. After nearly a minute, I forced a smile. "Can I help you with something?" The man didn't answer. He turned around and walked back outside. That was it. No purchase, no conversation, nothing. The truck drove away. I figured he was just another weird customer. I was wrong. The next night he returned. Same truck, same coat, same parking spot, and once again, he stood inside the store staring at me. The third night he returned too. By then I was officially creeped out. My manager laughed when I told him about it. "Every gas station gets weirdos," he said. "Maybe, but this guy felt different." The fourth time he visited, everything changed. Around 3 in the morning, he entered the store and stood silently near the coffee machines. Then suddenly he spoke. His voice sounded dry and cracked, like someone who hadn't spoken in years. "You should leave before sunrise." I frowned. "What? You should leave before sunrise?" That was all he said. Then he walked away. The next morning, just before sunrise, a tanker truck lost control on the icy highway. It slammed into the station's fuel pumps. The entire property was evacuated. Had I stayed longer after my shift, I would have been standing exactly where the truck crashed. That was the first time his warning came true. The second warning came 3 nights later. He walked inside, bought a bottle of water, then quietly said, "Don't drive home using County Road 12. I asked why. He didn't answer. The next day I learned that a deadly multi-car pileup had happened on County Road 12 during a snowstorm. 3 people died. Again, exactly where I would have been driving. At that point I became obsessed. Who was this guy? How did he know these things? And why was he warning me? Weeks passed. Every few nights he'd appear. Every warning came true. Every single one. One night he warned me not to visit a certain diner. A gas leak caused an explosion there later that day. Another time he warned me not to lend my car to a friend. That friend was arrested after getting into a fight downtown. Each warning saved me from trouble. Yet somehow I trusted him less and less, because no normal person should know these things. Then came the night that changed everything. It was snowing heavily. Visibility was terrible. Around 3:15 a.m., the black pickup arrived, but this time the man looked terrified. His face was pale, his clothes were soaked, and for the first time, his hands were shaking. He approached the counter. Leaning close, he whispered, "Tonight he finds you." A chill ran through my body. "Who?" The man glanced toward the windows, then back at me. "The one who follows." Before I could ask another question, he turned and walked outside. I rushed after him. The parking lot was empty. The truck had vanished. No tire tracks, no footprints, nothing. The snow looked untouched. My stomach dropped. Around 4 a.m., the security cameras began malfunctioning. Screens flickered. Static appeared. One by one the monitors went dark. Only camera 7 remained active. The rear storage yard. I looked at the screen. Something stood near the fence. At first I thought it was a person. Then I realized it was far too tall. At least 8 feet, maybe more. Its arms dangled almost to the ground. Its head leaned sideways at an impossible angle. And it wasn't moving. It was staring directly at the building. My blood ran cold. Suddenly the image distorted. Static exploded across the monitor. Then the screen went black. A loud bang echoed from the back of the station. Something had hit the rear door. Then another bang. Then another. The entire door shook. I grabbed my phone and called 911. While speaking with dispatch, I heard footsteps outside. Slow, heavy, crunching through the snow, circling the building. The dispatcher told me officers were 15 minutes away. 15 minutes. I wasn't sure I'd survive 15 seconds. Then I heard a voice. Not from the phone. From outside. A deep voice. A horrible voice. It sounded like multiple people speaking at once. Evan. My heart stopped. I had never told anyone working there my full name. The voice called again. Evan. The lights flickered. The security monitors exploded into static. Then every light in the station went out. Complete darkness. I stood frozen behind the counter. The emergency lights activated seconds later. Dim red light filled the building. And that's when I saw it. Standing outside the front windows. The thing from the camera. Watching me. Its eyes reflected white. Its mouth stretched unnaturally wide. Far wider than any human mouth could. Then it smiled. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember breathing. I just remember terror. Pure terror. The creature slowly raised one hand, and pointed directly at me. Then another set of headlights appeared behind it. A black pickup truck. The man had returned. The truck accelerated straight toward the creature. The impact should have been enormous. Instead, both vanished. Gone. As if neither had ever existed. Seconds later the police arrived. They searched everywhere. No creature. No truck. No footprints. Nothing. The officers thought stress had caused me to hallucinate. Maybe they were right. Maybe. Until 2 weeks later, while cleaning old storage boxes in the office, I discovered a newspaper article from 1998. The article described a fatal accident on Highway 36. A black pickup had crashed during a blizzard. The driver died instantly. Attached to the article was a photograph. The same gray coat. The same face. The same man. He had been dead for nearly 20 years. I quit that job the next day. I haven't worked another night shift since. But sometimes when I'm driving home late at night, I see a black pickup truck in my rearview mirror. Always at a distance. Always following. And every time I look closely, I can see the man behind the wheel, watching the road, making sure that whatever was hunting me that night never catches up. The last passenger of Route 9. My name is Jake. And this happened about a year ago when I was working the night shift as a city bus driver in Oregon. I had been driving buses for almost 3 years, and honestly, I loved the job. Most passengers kept to themselves. Some listened to music. Some slept. Others stared out the window. The overnight routes were usually the easiest because there were fewer people and less traffic. Route 9 was my regular assignment. It ran from downtown all the way to the outskirts of the city and back. The route took nearly 2 hours to complete. After midnight, most of the stops were empty. Sometimes I could drive 15 minutes without seeing a single person. That was exactly why most drivers hated Route 9. It felt isolated, especially during winter, especially after 2 a.m., and especially after what happened to me. It was a Thursday night in January. The weather was terrible. Heavy rain pounded the windshield. Fog covered most of the road. Visibility was awful. By 2:30 a.m., only 2 passengers remained on the bus. An elderly woman near the front, and a college student sitting near the back. Nothing unusual. The route continued normally until we reached a stop called Willow Creek. The stop sat near an old forest road on the edge of town. Nobody ever used it. In fact, I couldn't remember seeing a passenger there for months. As I approached, my headlights revealed a figure standing beneath the shelter. A man, tall, motionless, wearing a long black coat. His head was lowered. The rain poured down around him. I remember thinking how strange it was that he wasn't trying to stay dry. He just stood there, perfectly still. I pulled the bus over. The doors opened. The man stepped aboard. The moment he entered, the atmosphere changed. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it felt like the temperature inside the bus dropped instantly. The elderly woman looked up. The college student stopped looking at his phone. Everyone noticed him. The man slowly walked toward the rear. His boots made soft tapping sounds against the floor. Tap, tap, tap. Then he disappeared into the darkness near the back seats. I checked the mirror. He sat alone, head lowered, motionless. The route continued. 10 minutes later, the elderly woman approached the front. She looked nervous, very nervous. "Driver," she whispered. "Yes." "Who is that man?" I glanced in the mirror. "The passenger." She nodded. Her face looked pale. "Don't let him stay." A chill ran through me. "What do you mean?" The woman shook her head. "I've seen him before." Before I could ask another question, her stop arrived. She quickly exited the bus, leaving me confused. The rain intensified. The roads became emptier. Eventually, the college student reached his stop too. Now only one passenger remained. The man in the black coat. I checked the mirror again. He hadn't moved. Not even once. 40 minutes passed. Still sitting there. Still motionless. Finally, I spoke through the intercom. "Sir, this is the final route loop. Which stop do you need?" No response. I repeated myself. Nothing. The man didn't even look up. I decided to leave him alone. Maybe he was asleep. The route reached its final stop near an industrial district. Everyone should have exited. But when I checked the mirror, the man remained seated, head lowered, completely still. I parked, activated the interior lights, and walked toward him. "Sir." No response. I stopped several rows away. Something felt wrong, very wrong. The man slowly lifted his head. I wish he hadn't. His face was pale, almost gray. His eyes looked strange, cloudy, like old glass. Then he smiled. Not a normal smile, a huge smile, far too wide. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to get away. "End of the line," I said nervously. The man continued smiling. Then he spoke. His voice sounded distant, like it was coming through a tunnel. "This isn't my stop." I swallowed. "Then where are you going?" His smile widened. "Home." Without another word, he stood up, walked past me, and exited the bus. The moment he stepped outside, relief flooded through me. I locked the doors immediately, then watched him through the windshield. The man walked into the darkness between two abandoned warehouses, and vanished. I drove home, but I couldn't stop thinking about him. The next night, I forgot all about it, until Willow Creek. The same stop, the same weather, the same time, and there he was again, standing beneath the shelter, waiting, perfectly still. My stomach dropped. The bus stopped. The doors opened. The man boarded. Once again, he sat near the rear. Once again, he never moved. And once again, he stayed until the final stop. When I approached him this time, he looked up before I even spoke. Then he smiled. "This isn't my stop." My blood turned cold. The exact same words. The exact same tone. Then he exited, just like before. By the third night, I was genuinely afraid. I told another driver about him. The driver became strangely quiet. Then he asked, "Black coat?" "Yeah." "Tall?" "Yeah." The driver's face turned pale. "Don't talk to him." "What?" "Just don't." I laughed nervously. "What are you talking about?" The driver stared at me. "There was an accident 20 years ago." I felt my stomach tighten. A Route 9 bus crashed near Willow Creek. I listened carefully. The driver continued. "Most passengers survived." His voice lowered. "One didn't." "Who?" "The last passenger." I didn't sleep much after that. The next evening I researched the accident. Sure enough, records existed. A bus had crashed during a storm. One passenger died. His photograph nearly made me fall out of my chair. Black coat, pale face. The same man. Exactly the same. I considered quitting immediately. Instead, I convinced myself it had to be coincidence. Until the following Friday, the worst night of my life. Heavy fog covered the city. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. Around 2:40 a.m., I reached Willow Creek. The shelter was empty. I felt relieved. Maybe it was finally over. Then I noticed something. A figure standing directly in the road. The man, not beneath the shelter, not waiting, standing in front of the bus, motionless. I slammed the brakes. The bus skidded. Passengers screamed. The vehicle stopped inches from him. My heart pounded. The man slowly raised one hand, and pointed toward the forest. Then he disappeared into the fog. Completely disappeared, as if he had never been there. Several passengers demanded to know what happened. I couldn't answer, because I didn't know. The rest of the route felt wrong. The mirrors kept showing movement, shadows, figures, things that vanished when I looked directly at them. Then around 3:30 a.m., every passenger exited, except one, the man. He was back, sitting in the rear seat, smiling, waiting. I never saw him board, never saw him enter. yet there he was. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. When the bus reached the final stop, I refused to approach him. Instead, I shouted from the front, "Get off!" The man stood, slowly. Then he began walking toward me, one step, then another. The lights flickered, the engine died, the entire bus fell silent. The man kept approaching, closer, 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 until he stood directly beside my seat, looking down at me, smiling. Then he whispered, "You missed your turn." My blood froze. What? The man's smile disappeared. For the first time, he looked serious, terrified even. Then he pointed through the windshield. I followed his finger, and nearly screamed. The bus wasn't parked. It was moving, rolling slowly forward, toward an open construction pit. Somehow the parking brake had failed. Had he not warned me, the bus would have rolled directly into the excavation site. I immediately hit the brakes. The vehicle stopped. The man nodded once, then walked away, straight through the closed doors, not opening them, not touching them, walking through them, like smoke. I sat frozen for nearly 20 minutes. When I finally looked again, he was gone. The next day I quit Route 9. A month later I transferred to daytime routes. I never saw the man again, but sometimes, late at night, I still think about him. Maybe he was a ghost. Maybe he was something else. I don't know. What I do know is this. A few months after I left Route 9, another driver took over my schedule. One stormy night, that driver missed a turn near Willow Creek. His bus crashed into a ditch. Nobody died, but when investigators reviewed the security footage, they found something strange. A tall man in a black coat appeared briefly in the rear of the bus, just seconds before the crash. No passenger matching his description had ever boarded, and after the crash, he wasn't anywhere on the bus. To this day, Route 9 drivers still tell stories about the last passenger. The man who only rides after midnight. The man who never pays. The man who never gets off at his stop. And if you ever find yourself alone on Route 9 after 3 a.m., don't sit in the back. Because sometimes, when the bus lights flicker, you'll see a pale face smiling at you from the last row, waiting for his ride home. The voice inside the security cameras. My name is Ryan, and this happened 3 years ago when I was working the overnight shift as a security guard at an abandoned shopping mall in Pennsylvania. Even now, writing this makes my hands shake. I've told this story only twice before, once to the police, and once to my older brother. Neither of them believed me. Honestly, if I hadn't lived through it myself, I probably wouldn't believe it either. The mall was called Blackwood Center. Back in the 1990s, it had been one of the busiest malls in the state. By the time I got hired, it was practically dead. Almost every store had closed. Most of the lights no longer worked. Entire sections of the building were permanently dark. The owners couldn't afford full security, so they hired one guard per shift. Usually me. My shift ran from 11 p.m. until 7 a.m. The job was simple. Watch the cameras, walk the halls every hour, report any trespassers. Easy money. At least that's what I thought. The first strange thing happened on a Thursday. Around 1:40 a.m., I was sitting in the security office watching camera feeds. There were 64 cameras throughout the building. Most showed empty hallways, closed stores, silent food courts. Nothing unusual. Then camera 27 flickered. Just for a second. I barely noticed it. The image distorted. Static flashed across the screen. Then everything returned to normal. I ignored it. Old equipment malfunctioned all the time. A few minutes later it happened again. This time I paid attention. The image glitched. And for a fraction of a second, I thought I saw someone standing in the hallway. A tall figure, motionless, watching the camera. Then it vanished. I leaned closer. The hallway was empty. I replayed the footage. Nothing. No person. No movement. Just static. I told myself my eyes were playing tricks on me. But over the next week the same thing kept happening. Always camera 27. Always around the same time. And always the same figure. Standing perfectly still. Watching. The weirdest part. Every night the figure appeared closer. The first night it was at the far end of the hallway. The second night halfway down. The third night near a closed jewelry store. Each appearance brought it closer to the camera. Closer. And closer. Until eventually it stood only a few feet away, staring directly into the lens. I reported the issue to maintenance. They checked the camera. Nothing was wrong, no damaged wiring, no interference, nothing. The technician actually laughed. He said the camera feed looked perfectly normal. That should have reassured me. Instead, it terrified me, because I knew what I'd seen. The following Friday everything got worse. Around 2:15 a.m., camera 27 flickered again. The figure appeared, only this time, it moved, slowly, very slowly, its head tilted sideways, then the screen went black. My stomach dropped. Several seconds passed. The image returned. The hallway was empty. Then I noticed something. Camera 28 had activated. It monitored the next hallway over. The figure now stood there, closer to the security office. I felt genuine fear for the first time, because whatever I was seeing, it seemed to be moving through the building, one camera at a time, toward me. The next hour was torture. Camera 29, then 30, then 31. Every feed showed the same thing, the figure getting closer. I grabbed my flashlight and decided to investigate. That was my first mistake. The mall felt different that night. The darkness seemed heavier. The silence felt unnatural. My footsteps echoed through the empty corridors. Every sound felt amplified. I reached the hallway where camera 27 was located. Nothing. Completely empty. No footprints. No trespassers. No signs of anyone. I checked every nearby hallway. Still nothing. Yet when I returned to the office, the figure was now visible on camera 35, only 3 hallways away. I stared at the monitor. The figure appeared impossibly tall. Its body looked distorted. Its arms hung too low. Its face remained hidden in darkness. Then something happened that still gives me nightmares. The figure raised one arm, and pointed directly at the camera. My office phone rang immediately. I nearly jumped out of my chair. The caller ID displayed, unknown. I answered. Silence. No breathing. No background noise. Nothing. Then a voice whispered, "I see you." The line disconnected. I froze. Every hair on my body stood up. Nobody should have known where I was. Nobody should have been able to see me. The security office had no windows, no public access, nothing. Yet somehow someone knew exactly where I was. I called my supervisor. No answer. I called again, straight to voicemail. At 3 a.m., camera 40 activated. The figure was now less than 50 yards from the office. Then camera 41, then 42. Each camera brought it closer. I considered leaving. I should have left. Instead, I stayed. The next camera to activate was camera 44. That camera overlooked the hallway directly outside my office. The image flickered. Static appeared. Then the figure emerged, standing 20 feet from my door, watching, motionless. I couldn't breathe. I stared at the monitor for several seconds, then slowly looked toward the office door. Silence. Nothing. No footsteps. No sounds. I looked back at the monitor. The figure had moved, now only 10 feet away. My pulse exploded. I grabbed my flashlight and radio. Then the monitor flickered again. The figure disappeared. Gone. The hallway was empty. Suddenly something knocked on the office door. 3 slow knocks. Knock. 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 I froze. Nobody should have been there. Nobody. The knocking came again, louder this time. Knock. 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 My hands shook violently. Then the voice returned, muffled through the door. Ryan. My blood turned to ice. I had never told anyone in the mall my first name. The security uniform only displayed my employee number. Yet somehow, it knew my name. The voice spoke again. Ryan, open the door. I backed away. The voice became louder. Ryan, knock. Ryan, knock. Ryan, knock. Then the office lights died. Complete darkness. I heard something scratching against the outside of the door. Slowly, patiently, like fingernails dragging across metal. I called 911. The dispatcher answered immediately. I explained everything. She sounded skeptical at first, until she heard the scratching. Then her tone changed instantly. Police were dispatched. Estimated arrival, 12 minutes. 12 minutes. It felt impossible. The scratching continued, then stopped. The silence was worse, much worse. I checked the monitors. Every camera feed displayed static. Every single one, except camera 52, the loading dock. I stared at the screen. The figure stood there, far away from the office. Impossible. Just seconds earlier it had been outside my door. Now it stood across the mall, Then all 64 monitors changed at once. Every screen displayed the same image. The figure, watching me. I screamed. I actually screamed. Then all the monitors shut off. The room became silent. Completely silent. A few moments later, something whispered directly behind me. Turn around. I ran. I didn't care anymore. I threw open the office door and sprinted through the mall. My flashlight bounced wildly. My radio fell from my belt. I didn't stop. Didn't look back. I ran through empty corridors and abandoned storefronts. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Heavy footsteps. Matching my speed. Following. I glanced back. And saw it. For the first and only time. The figure. Tall. Unnaturally tall. At least 8 feet. Its skin looked gray. Its eyes looked completely black. Its mouth stretched into a horrible grin. And it was running. I pushed myself harder. My lungs burned. My legs felt numb. Yet the footsteps grew closer. Then suddenly, the mall's emergency exit appeared ahead. I slammed through the door, fell into the parking lot, and kept running. Snow covered everything. Police lights appeared in the distance. The moment the patrol cars entered the lot, the footsteps stopped. I looked back. The emergency door slowly swung shut. The figure was gone. Police searched the entire building. They found nothing. No intruder. No evidence. No footprints. Nothing. The security footage from that night had somehow been erased. Every file. Every recording. Gone. I quit the next morning. Never went back. 6 months later, Blackwood Center was demolished. The entire structure was torn down. Most people forgot it ever existed. But I didn't. Because 3 weeks after the demolition, I received a package. No return address. No sender name. Inside was a single DVD. I almost threw it away. Instead, curiosity got the better of me. I played it. The video showed security footage. My security footage. The office. The hallways. Everything from that night. Footage the police claimed no longer existed. The recording ended with a final image. A frame that lasted less than a second. The figure standing directly behind me inside the office. Smiling. Watching the back of my head. The timestamp showed it had been there the entire night. Every second. Standing just behind me. And that's why I don't have security cameras in my house anymore. Because sometimes, late at night, electronic screens still flicker. And whenever they do, for just a fraction of a second, I see the same tall figure standing behind me, watching, waiting, smiling, and every time it appears, it seems a little closer than before.